I think that's probably one of my favorite parts because we really get to dig into the nuts and bolts of everything, and uh, a lot of times, the clients will walk out with a better understanding of what they can do and what a potential plan will look like for them. One big thing is asset protection. A lot of people come and say, "Hey, I need a trust for asset protection." And I think the misconception is that that's the only way to achieve it, where there are other routes. And so that's why it's so important to work with a firm or work with attorneys who specialize in that area so that we can provide different options for you. Because, once you go the trust route, sometimes there is a lack of control that you have, but there's an option. Are there other options where you may be able to maintain that control? So I, when someone comes to me, and they very often they come to me saying, "Okay, I want asset protection." Like, okay, what are your needs? What are you trying to protect? Who are you trying to uh, get protection from? And then from there, we can more thoroughly advise. But sometimes the answer is in the trust.
So a lot of people contact us and saying, I need a trust. And this is exactly what they heard online, that this would be this would offer them the most protection. And while a trust is often a very good idea, especially a revocable trust for somebody to avoid probate as much as possible, sometimes it's not the very best idea for every single person. And I know that's probably not, what a lot of people like to say, but sometimes you have an extremely, extremely uncomplex plan, and you've got beneficiaries in place for everything. And yeah, maybe you don't need a trust. Maybe that'll complicate things for you. Most of the time, it's best for them to have a trust, but that's not a one-size-fits-all situation.
Yeah.
A lot of times when we go through signing meetings and we have to explain what a guardianship is or what a conservatorship is, that usually kind of freaks people out because they think that if they're going to initial something, that they're going to basically assign somebody to be their guardian or conservator right then and there. And that is something that I have to kind of explain, and that was probably on the back of a lot of celebrity guardianship cases. And at least in Georgia, when you initial that you would like somebody to be considered to be a guardian or conservator, that doesn't mean that they will be a guardian or conservator right then and there. Especially, it's if you need one, the court will consider that specific individual that you've nominated.
I think one big thing is the estate tax. Some people ask, like, what is the estate tax and am I impacted by it? And so this is sometimes a moving target depending on what Congress is doing, depending on what the current administration is doing. And with the One Big Beautiful Bill, he set the estate tax at 15 million. So we'll talk to some people, and for some, that's a big number. For others, it's not. So, and also for others, they may think like, "Oh, I'm not there." But when we total all of their assets, when we look at their total net worth, they may be closer than they think. So that's one that is good to explain and clarify, and then also to make them aware that it's a number that can change. So right now it's 15 million. And it's probably going to be that for a little while, but it could change. So in the event that it does, you have to plan accordingly.
It kind of depends on how the person's coming into our firm. So either we have an initial phone call with them, and then we kind of get if they have a little bit of time, we get the initial information, what is most pressing to them, and then we schedule a follow-up phone call with them or a consultation in the office. And then after a consultation in the office or a very detailed phone call, we basically put together an estate plan or state trust plan, business plan that they would like to get, that they would like to set up. And then we basically go ahead and start moving forward with the drafting. And we draft as a team. It's either it's basically you're gonna have uh, Brian, who's, the most senior attorney, and then you're going to have one of us as well, and then you're also going to have a series of experienced paralegals and legal assistants that are going to basically all touch this plan, and we're going to put it all together, and at the very end, hopefully, you know, you'd like your plan. And even if you don't, we have a series of follow-up meetings and we make sure that it's exactly what you want. And then we tweak it however you want so that when you come to sign, you're comfortable, you know exactly what you're signing, and you feel comfortable with the plan that you've set up in place.
Yeah, Yuliya mentioned the initial meeting. Normally it's about a 30-minute call. And I like it because it gives you opportunity to get to know the potential client and also for them to have the opportunity to get to know me or, whatever attorney that they're talking to at the time. So, it's quick. We run through the basics. They can get a feel, we can get a feel for each other and decide if we want to move forward from there. And then the next step is one thing that we love to do is bring them into the office and bring out a whiteboard. And so either Brian or I will draw diagrams on the board to talk about, what does a revocable trust mean? What does an irrevocable trust mean? What does it mean to have assets in your name and moving them out of your name? And so visually showing what that process looks like. And that has proven to be very effective with clients because a lot of people are very visual. And this topic of trust planning can be very complex and very foreign to some people. I think that's probably one of my favorite parts because we really get to dig into the nuts and bolts of everything, and uh, a lot of times, the clients will walk out with a better understanding of what they can do and what a potential plan will look like for them. It's just asking yourself, if something were to happen to me right now, would my assets pass how I want them to and who I want them to pass to? And if thinking about the consequences or burdens that you can leave on your family, whether that's, administratively, whether that's taxes, whether that's, family dynamics. So I think thinking through that, because sometimes, when you're talking about death, it's a hard thing to think about. So just thinking beyond that, like, do I want to set my family up in the best possible way? I think that can help get you past the death part of it and just thinking more of how can I set up my family in the best way, so that I'm not leaving them with a mess or with chaos. So I think that's the beauty of the work that we do here, is that we help eliminate a lot of chaos and confusion.
Yeah, to add to that, I think that a lot of times death and estate planning and trust planning is a loaded concept for a lot of people, and they're kind of afraid to even broach that subject, whether that's with their loved ones or even more so with a professional. And I'd like to kind of challenge people to talk about it before they're ready, um, and to kind of, yes, we are professionals, but we're always here for a quick phone call even before you're ready. Like, you don't have to put together, it would be great if you had, a long list of all the assets that you have, who you want to give things to. That's great. But we don't expect anybody to have that when they first reach out to somebody about estate or trust planning. It's okay to reach out and say, I don't know where to start. Maybe you had something happen in your family recently, somebody you know, something you saw in the news. It's okay to just reach out to somebody like us and just say, hey, can I have a quick phone call? And then we will guide you with regard to what we need from you, to move that, to move the planning forward, if that's even what you want to do at that point. And even if you're not ready to do estate or trust planning, we don't really push people to do it if they're not ready, because we want you to be happy. I think the most important thing is that you just you contact somebody, and then if we need to push it out a couple months, if we need to push it out a year, that's fine. But we want to make sure that you don't have that burden that I think we can alleviate at least some of, so that you can kind of start moving forward towards that.